Hello there, my name is Matthew Gaudreau, and this is my CSC101 final project presentation entitled Privacy and Security Concerns, The Dangers of Social Networking. I'd like to begin my presentation with a brief outline of what I will be discussing. I broke it down into three separate points. The first point I will be discussing is what social networking is, as well as how it and the internet impacts you. To illustrate this, I recorded an interview with a computer technician at URI, and I would like to showcase that later in my presentation. The second point I'll be discussing is the various types of both social networking sites and the types of dangers that come with using social networking. I broke it down into the 5 types. The third point I will be discussing is how individuals as well as organizations can better protect themselves from these aforementioned dangers. Much like the 5 types, I broke it down into the 4 steps. To begin, we need to ask ourselves what exactly social networking is. An easy definition would be to call it a technological means of communicating via the internet. Because technology has become so expansive, we found a lot of different ways to communicate in a much more efficient and broader way. Because of this, it's no longer restricted to the youth generation. My grandparents, for example, use Facebook to keep in touch with me while I'm away at school. It's simultaneously private and public viewing. This creates a lot of controversy. Specifically, it asks the question of where the lines are drawn between privacy and public viewing, and what kind of information can be stolen. To illustrate this, 91% of Generation Y, according to a Cisco survey, believe that the quote-unquote age of privacy is over. Now, I mentioned that I recorded an interview with the technician at URI, and I would like to showcase that now.
I am currently here with Eric Della Posta, who works for Classroom Media Systems at the University of Rhode Island. Eric, what would you say, as far as internet security goes, is the biggest piece of information that you do not want out there online?
Credit card numbers, anything like tied to my ID, license numbers, social security stuff, that could go downhill pretty quick.
What kind of steps do you feel that companies should take in order to properly protect credit card information?
Oh, that's kind of a loaded question. More security, whatever that's supposed to mean. I feel like all the time I was like, this is more secure, this is more secure. And then 3 months later, somebody, hacked it. And we're just like, well, okay, now what?
Sounds good. Thank you very much for your time.
Social networking is something that broads over a wide collection of different sites. To illustrate this, I created a survey among my Sigma Chi brothers at URI, in which I asked them to choose their primary social networking site from 5 different examples. What I found was that the majority was split between Twitter and YouTube, but the other 3 sites did have a solid amount of people. So that gives a great idea of how social networking has encompassed not just one specific site. Now, there are a lot of threats out there, but I found this post really interesting. There was a survey conducted in which children under the age of 18, who is a very large demographic of those who use social media, they were asked the biggest threat to children that are under the age of 18 who do use social media. As you can see, there's a wide array of different kinds of threats. We got child molesters, solicitors. The one that I found really interesting was the invasion of privacy and identity theft. Now, those will play into the presentation a little bit later. There are 3 major kinds of threats that I found in regards to privacy and security concerns. The first kind of information is logistical information. This is rather basic. It includes stuff like your location, your age, family relations, and your name. If you want to get a little more extreme, financial information causes a great deal of concern over the internet. Certain things such as credit card numbers and bank codes can be stolen over the internet. And then we have private information, which includes computer passwords, IP addresses, and various sorts of networking. There are 5 major types of social networking that I will be discussing. The first kind is personal networks. An example of this would be Facebook. These are the kind of sites in which people collect a great deal of personal information about themselves and put it out there for their friends. But one of the things that Facebook does that has caused a great deal of controversy is that it does not necessarily restrict it, so that way people searching for your name can find your profile, which can cause a great deal of potential security concerns. The second form of social networking is status update networks. These are sites such as Twitter, in which you make posts about what you are doing at the current time. The third sort of social networking site is location networks. Examples of these are Loop and any other kind of GPS social networking in which you discuss where you are or what you are doing. As you can see, since they can trace your location, that goes back to logistical information, so that's very concerning as far as security goes. The fourth form is content sharing networks. These are sites such as YouTube in which people put out different kinds of content such as videos, music, and other forms of entertainment to express themselves, but you never know who sees that information. The fifth kind of site for social networking is what's called shared interest. These are sites like Black Planet, in which people gather that have some kind of common goal. So it could be a political site, some kind of something, a sports team, something along those lines. So you can see that social network covers a wide assortment of different types of websites. If you're looking for additional information, there's actually a really cool site in which the 5 points that I talked about, it's privacyrights.org. If you scroll down a little bit, it gives a lot more detail in regards to the 5 kinds of networks. So if you're someone that's looking for more information about what they are, this is a great site for you to look at. So the big question, how does this affect groups and individuals? For example, businesses often lose customers. If you would like, I will show you my chart that I found on my actual website. Now, if you see here on my website, which is called Privacy and Security Concerns, the Dangers of Social Networking, underneath my background section, I found this interesting chart where it says that 89% agree that they would avoid doing businesses with a company that they do not believe protects their privacy online. That's a very interesting point, and as a result, businesses do lose a lot of business more often than not. The second thing is that anyone can provide your information anywhere. Now, if you go back to my website, you'll see that 30% of users on the internet share their home address online. 30%, and in addition, you can see stuff such as photos, birth dates, and email addresses can also be shared online and are open to the general public, especially on sites such as Facebook. This can create all kinds of financial trouble, and people have even been told that they've lost their jobs based on what they've seen over social networking, regardless of whether or not they put it out themselves. So, what's the best way to protect yourselves? To start, there's step 1 of the 4 steps of prevention. The first step is to learn to properly utilize social media. There's a company that's called BT in England that's great with customer service, in which almost all of their business is conducted online. So they're able to get feedback much quicker and it's much more efficient. If you look at things such as presidential websites, campaigns, business homepages are really big when it comes to how to utilize social media. The example that I found was the Ryan Center on Facebook. So if you type in the Ryan Center, this is the page that you will get. So as you can see, there's a banner, has a picture, and they do a really good job of showing past events, stuff that's happened, but also they talk about events that are coming up. And if you go under the About, it provides a link to their actual website, which is right here, along with their phone number and some other information. So social networking has proved to be a great tool for businesses as far as how to properly get their information out there in a secure manner. The second step is to upgrade your operating systems. For those of you who don't know what an operating system is, it's essentially software that manages what your computer can do and its resources. As you can see down here, an operating system is composed of pretty much 5 components. First and biggest is security. You have memory management, peripheral management, multitasking, and user interface. Now, much like computer social networking, there are a lot of operating systems that are available, such as iOS, Macs, Windows, etc. Step 3, much like along the lines of upgrading your operating systems, operate all kinds of software. Examples of this are used by MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, sites like that, in which they generally update their financial transaction formatting, so that way stuff like spam, spyware, and hackings are very easily prevented. And then the fourth step we have is protecting what's called cloud storage. A cloud is essentially an online storage system in which all your data, such as something like Google Docs, in which it stores your documents, spreadsheets, and it stores them on an internet drive that you can use to log on. But the prevention part comes from how to protect yourself, such as how to protect your passwords. So make sure that you have it written down and it's something that's exclusive to you. To use private computers as opposed to public computers, because God forbid if you're at a library and you forget to log off, there's a good chance that your information could still be on there and you could be hacked. Along those lines, we have avoiding using what's called dual emails, in which you have one source that's already open, like your Gmail account, and then your Yahoo account. And if you leave them both open, there's a better chance that someone could get into your information. So the big question, how does computing, meaning computers, impact privacy and security? The first way is social networking itself. There's different types, and it also involves IP addresses and various sorts of computer information. The second way is through operating systems. Much like I showed, there's a lot of different systems themselves and all sorts of functions that they can do. The third is Google Drive and other single storage methods that are stored online. So to conclude, social networking is something that connects everyone. With that said, it imposes various threats because anyone can see whatever it is that you're posting. So with that said, it's important to know the 4 steps to better protect yourselves. To embrace social media, upgrade your operating systems, improve your software, such as your spam and antivirus software, and to better protect your cloud storage. I would like to thank you for listening, and I hope that you found this presentation to be very enlightening. And just remember, no matter how safe you think you are, there's always a chance, because you don't know who's at the other end of the computer, that your information could be stolen. Thank you.